So lack of follow through, right, is what Pastor Rudy said or Deacon Rudy said. Real quick, one thing that the Lord showed me one time was that His word, obviously, as we know, never returns void. So why is mine returning void? When I say I'm going to do things, right? Why don't we follow through with our word when we say we're going to do things? If we come in His image, then our words should push through, right? Amen. All right. So we got the correct QR code up here, you guys. You will have access to Deacon Rudy's presentation. You're gonna have access to other resources on here. So take a look in your bags if you haven't. You guys have itineraries in there, got special pins in there, and a couple of other notes. We're gonna do the workshops in a little bit towards the end. So now that we're pushing past and we're breaking mindsets, right? Financial literacy is a key part to being successful in business, right? You can't really make it far if you're not smart with your finances. So we have Ruben Lowing, who is a financial literacy trainer. Ruben, let's give him a welcome.
I want to thank Pastor Rudy for warming you guys up for me. Right, that's awesome. Hang on, where am I going? All right. I grew up in northern Michigan on a farm 2.5 miles from the nearest paved road. And I knew I didn't want to work on a farm the rest of my life. And the only thing I had confidence with was my boxing, my hands. My mother bought me a speed bag when I was 7 years old. My stepdad put it up in the basement high enough where I had to stand on a chair to hit it. And I hit that thing every night. Drove him crazy. Trying to watch 60 Minutes, and I'm rattling the whole house. Right? But I hit it every night. And I got picked on because I'm little. And I'm between the 7th and 8th grade, and these two bullies are messing with me, and one of them hit me in the stomach. Next thing I know, I turned his face into a speed bag. And I'm like, oh, look what I did, right? So I got pretty confident in it. I got boxing gloves. I sparred everybody everywhere all the time. I joined the Navy because the Navy recruiter told me that if I went, that he got to boxing boot camp. And so I signed up that day, and he lied. But I ended up going. Somebody was looking out for me. They signed me up for advanced electronics. I went to Millington, Tennessee for my A school for 10 months. And while I was there, the Marines had a boxing gym. I was the only Navy guy there. And I ended up winning the Golden Gloves as a novice in 1982. And I got stationed in Pensacola, Florida. And I saw this young man, 12 years old, look like a miniature Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm like, whoever taught him how to fight, I want to teach me. And that was Roy Jones Jr. And when I went to his daddy's gym, I was the only white boy there. And he said, you want to fight for me? You better come to train every day. You better do what you're told. You better be on time, and you better quit drinking. And I was a 19-year-old sailor, but that's what I did. And I saw something amazing. I saw dedication and commitment like I've never seen before. They were so precise on their punches. There was no lull in the intensity of the workouts. When we ran, we had to run as fast as we could. We ran on the track, and Roy Jones Sr. had a piece of PVC pipe like 3 feet long. And if you didn't run, if you weren't falling all out, you get a piece of that stick, right? And I didn't have parents to go run home, so I got that stick a lot, right? There's so much I can tell you about these guys. 17 of my spar partners either won a world title or fought for a world title, right? So I knew it worked. I joined the SEAL teams because a Navy diver told me, saw that I was in really good shape. I was a lifeguard. I was temporary duty as a lifeguard in the base in Pensacola. And I was the only one that could keep up with the push-ups, pull-ups, and running. And they tried to recruit me to be a diver. To me, divers are just underwater mechanics. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to box. He goes, oh, go to the SEAL teams. They'll send you the boxing team. That's the hard way to do it. But that's what I did. Okay. And there's so many things I could tell you. There's so endless stories, amazing stuff. These guys are incredible. I saw a level of motivation that I've never seen before. There's always somebody running around going, going to go on an op, going to go shoot, even as a training op. Yeah, get some. Right? Everybody stand up. Stand up right now on the count of 3. I want you to say, yeah, get some to the top of your lungs. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, get some. Do you feel that? Go ahead, sit down. Do you feel that exhilaration, right? Right? You have to have that if you're going to go running into the line of fire. People shooting at you, and you're like, let's go, right? All right, that's what you have to have. There's always somebody running around going, move it. Let's go, right? Ryan told me that he wanted somebody to put a boot in your 4th point of contact. And if anybody's ever been in the airborne school, you know what that is, all right? And that's what I'm going to do today, all right? I kept hearing all this great Navy SEAL leadership. And I'm like, what leadership? These guys are harsh. I usually say another word, but I'm not going to say that today, right? But what I learned, they were really good at laying out the exact specifications, the exact desired intention. You knew there was no ambiguity at all. You knew what was expected, what time was expected, what quality work was expected, and the consequences for not doing it. There was, and everybody was on board, all in. I got out of the military, and I had a job all lined up teaching marksmanship training to Fleet Training Center, San Diego, making the same amount of money, the same benefits I had, doing the thing I love to do is shooting, and making the same money I was making in the SEAL teams. 2 weeks before I'm getting out, they call me up and say, hey, Bill Clinton's running for president. This is going to cause a downsizing. It's going to make him look bad, so they're going to discontinue until after the election. And I need to get a job like right now. I'm going to go work at the Federal Building checking bags for $15 an hour in San Diego, and I really wasn't motivated to do that. And the unemployment guy called me up, goes, you still looking? I go, yeah, I'm still looking. He goes, there's a lead generator. There's a company in Irvine looking for a lead generator for all of San Diego County. I didn't know what a generator was, but leader, I'm a leader. My job was standing in front of a mock-up sunroom, get people sign up for a free estimate on a room addition for a sunroom, guard room, patio room. Long story short, my first month, I generated more leads than anybody had done for them in all of Southern California. Next month, I had the most sales. All right, and I wasn't even going out there doing the sales, the estimator going out there, right? Got a little confidence, but I still wasn't making enough money. And I'm like, I knew I had to educate myself. I had to teach myself about finances. Nobody ever taught me anything about them, hardly at all, before. My dad gave me a little advice about, my dad was a Jewish farmer. He was so tight that he squeaked. He said, he taught me the difference between good debt and bad debt. Bad debt's like credit cards. The interest rate's so high, the payment's so low, you never pay it off. Good debt would be like he'd tell me, if I need to buy a piece of equipment like a tractor or a combine, is it smarter for me to work and save to buy that piece of equipment cash, or is inflation just going to keep it this far out of my reach? If that was the case, he would finance that piece of equipment, put it to work to make more money to pay that loan off faster. He said, you got to think of yourself as being in the egg business and your money's your chickens. You don't want to eat your chickens. Okay. So my wife at the time, my first wife, bought me these books because they had boxing gloves on the cover. So this guy, John Evazine, has since passed. He was probably the pioneer of prosperity preachers. And the first book, War on Debt, was all about tapping into that spiritual power, that commitment. All kinds of verses throughout the Bible, everything the Bible's pointing you get it together with your finances. Okay. He said, that there's going to be verses that come to you and to look them up, right? First thing I've ever done was Luke 16:9. Use worldly wealth to gain friends, for when it's gone, you'll be welcome in eternal dwellings. That was like my directive from God to do this business that I'm in, right? Right after that, I answered an ad in the paper as a debt management consultant. It was a group interview. There was like, 7 of us there, way more sales experience than me. P&C, life and health, mortgage, real estate backgrounds. The guy gets up, 6'9", he's a professional volleyball player. He says, we're a debt management company. We put everybody into a debt roll-up strategy. If they have equity in their home, we'll do a second mortgage or a new first mortgage, and we'll consolidate strategic debt that creates the largest margin of savings. Put that amount into the debt roll-up. We'll incorporate consumer credit counseling strategies and debt settlement strategies. Add gas. We can get you completely out of debt, including your mortgage, in as little as 5 to 10 years without increasing your monthly payments. And I could read everybody's mind thinking, that sounds too good to be true. But I'm thinking, from what I read, I think that's possible. So I was the only one. It was straight commission. They gave you a $50 bonus for every signed loan application with income documentation for a check from an appraiser you brought in. And I needed $600 to pay the rent. I brought in 12 applications that first month. I got my rent paid for. 10 of those loans funded. I made $7,500 that month. I didn't even have a license. They made me the manager. Every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, they started looking at buying a house. I got my real estate license. I started doing mortgage and real estate. I averaged like $200,000 a year, like 5 years in a row, but then it just stopped. And then I found financial services. Right when I got all my licenses, it was November 2007, and then the whole world collapsed. Lost both of my houses. Life sucked. My 2009, I started writing business, and then my dad loved this business. He died. Complications of H1N1. And I went to the funeral, and I came back, and my oldest son was in Pensacola, Florida, training with Roy Jones Sr. I sent him there every year for 2 months, from he was 14 till he was 18. And my wife was from Pensacola. She went there to go, told me she was connected with her college roommate, and it was me and my 11-year-old. He was pretty self-sufficient. I did like 4 appointments a day, 10 days in a row, and I made $9,000 commission, got promoted to marketing director. I'm like, yes! And then she came back and told me that she didn't want to be married to me anymore. And when that commission hit, she moved the kids out, and my car broke down, and my life sucked for a few years. I had to do a bunch of other things. Anti-piracy security out in the Indian Ocean, they paid $700 a day, but I hated that job. Actually, they hated me because I was a Christian. I was worried they were going to throw me overboard. That led me to the drone business, which was fascinating. I worked for the company that does all the image processing and data management for the military drones. My job was traveling all over the country, find anybody doing anything with drones. I got so much information up here that I'll probably never use again from that experience, but it was fascinating. Then the FAA shut us down. I had no control over that. I was out of business. Got into the LED lighting business right at the beginning. LED lights are way more expensive. It was a hard job. And then I moved to the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, and I got a job servicing produce warehouses for cleaners, degreasers, sanitizers, continuing education for their food safety managers and their warehouse managers, and so they could stay compliant, and testing for environment for E. coli, Ebola, Listeria, Salmonella. I was making enough money, but I couldn't get ahead. And then I found this office that was doing financial literacy, which was hard for me to grasp. Because I came from the mortgage business. You give me a stack of title company leads, I'm going to find somebody in there looking for a loan. But in financial services, it doesn't work that way. Nobody puts their money anywhere they don't feel comfortable with, they don't understand. So we educate them. And when then the light comes on, they understand, they come back to me. And it's a much easier process. So I'm not telling you to read these books, but this is what happened with me. The second book is way thinner book, just a debt roll-up strategy and negotiating tactics for your creditors. Okay. You can read it if you want, but I can help you do that, right? This young fella here, I called him the other day. He was El Chocolate. He was a black fighter who was adopted by his Mexican trainer, and he was up and coming, and he got hit, got a headbutt, and now he's legally blind, right? Great kid, loved him, and I just show you that because anything could happen. This guy's fit as, healthy as a horse, and now he's, great guy. Talked to him the other day. He's, doing a job that he don't need to see very well, but he's doing it, right? So you got to keep those things in mind. In the process, I learned about all kinds of stuff that I share and I help other people. I take my background and I apply it for things. In our office, I'm in the Manhattan Life Building. Those people specialize. If they do term, that's all they do is term. If they do whole life, for like funeral and end of life arrangements, right? That's all they do. If they do universal life, that's all they do. If they do annuities, that's all they do. They have some people that do employee benefit stuff. In our office, everybody's done term, everybody's done whole life, everybody's done universal life, everybody's done annuities. There's a couple of people do employee benefit strategies. I'm the only one talking about real estate investment strategies because we have strategies that these deep people with deep pockets, they're looking for because they want to get out from under paying taxes. They don't have all their money, equity tied up in another property and just keep kicking that can that they want their money. And so I help them find that. I help them do that. This is a tool. It's called Score Navigator. I chased these guys for 4 years. This guy was the guy that came up with the credit scoring system for the credit bureaus. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. He came up with it's a dashboard. It's like a do-it-yourself to help you get out of debt and improve your credit. Okay, so it's a great tool. If anybody wants to sign up, I can get you signed up today. And the programs are way inexpensive. I blew my mind, but it's scientific to do it. It's not just haphazard like what I did for myself. You can pay off your debt, and then no saying it's going to come off your credit report right away. You may have to send a letter. You have to send a letter. It comes off, and the next year it pops back up. I had one time the dealership where I bought my truck at. The manager had couldn't figure out why his credit scores were so low. I look at his credit report. There's nothing wrong with it. I sent it into the underwriter, and they said, okay, TransUnion's, that score's pulling it down. So I faxed his credit report to TransUnion every day, first thing when I came in, for like 4 days in a row. Then they called me up. He had a bankruptcy like 11 years prior, and Sears had reinstated the debt and pulled his score down. They took it off. Next thing I know, I got him a new loan. Got him a nice loan, right? And but they have all the resources to do things like that. With much less drama, right? Budgeting. All right, what Pastor Rudy just said, okay, that's the hardest thing. Looking at where your money's coming from and what you're doing with it, and determining is what you're doing with it something you should be doing. Is it just, on a whim, or are you on a plan? Because if you're not on a plan, neither is your money. You understand that? Okay. A lot of it has to do with setting goals. All right. And people are like, I don't know. You ask them what their short-term goal is. I don't know. And then mid-range, long-term goals. So this is $1 million bill, and I will give this to you because I bought about 15 of them on Amazon. Right? If you can spend it in it today, I'll give it to you. Okay. If you had $1 million today, what would you spend it on? I want you to think about that. Okay. Before you come see me to do your budget, before you go talk to somebody about goal setting, you think about what you would do with this $1 million if you had it. Works, doesn't it, Rudy? Or not Rudy? Roni. It works, doesn't it? It works. Okay. All right. Expands your mind. All right. This is what's called a personal financial strategy. Okay. So we use it's a fillable PDF form. I got them printed out, but I can do them in PDF, send them to you, and you can keep up with yourself. When you start making more money, you start paying down your debt, you can make the changes. I'll do it for free, and it's not as good as QuickBooks, but it'll get you started. It'd be like the preliminary for QuickBooks. All right. And it's going to talk about your proper financial foundation and the X curve and the DIME method. That stands for debt, income, mortgage, and education. These are things you need to pay off. All right. And then we do full service education. We do 6 workshops: how to build building savings and wealth, increasing cash flow and debt management, preparing for proper protection, your health and wealth, understanding asset accumulation strategies, and fulfilling long-term goals. Right? We do those every day, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Zoom, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We do them in our office on Wednesday, on Saturday mornings at 10. That's what I would be doing today, but we wouldn't have this conference, right? And I do them individually with people if they can't make those times. We represent like almost 200 different companies, everything from insurance, annuities, estate planning, P&C even. So we have all kinds of resources to help anybody. This is really interesting. This is something you can sink your teeth into. This is the pill method. You can buy this book, but you don't really have to. Right? This is a debt roll-up. I did this with a whiteboard behind my bedroom door. All right, this guy's got $399,750 in debt, freeing up $100. When I sit down with somebody and I help them with their finance, we try to find money. If somebody has a habit of going to Starbucks and get a cafe mocha vente every morning before they go to work, or they go to Chipotle's and get their version of Cobb salad, and I'll be done in a second, right? And then they change their habit. They brew their own coffee, take a thermos to work, and they brown bag it. They'll save $255 a month. When I stopped taking Sam Houston to my girlfriend's house after work every night and went the back way, it saved me $271 a month. We freed up $100 for this guy, and putting that $100 strategically to the payment of the smallest debt and paying his bills on time. All right, everything you pay above minimum goes straight to principal, lowering your effective interest rate, paying everything off faster. Okay, we got this guy out of debt in 17 and a half years. I'm like, how much did he save in interest? So I took 12 and a half, that's how much time he saved, times 12, times the $27.82 his debt service amount. It came up to $417,300 in interest that he saved. Okay, now applying that pill method, when you pay your mortgage at a $250,000 mortgage, $250,000 mortgage at 7% interest, $1,662 a month is your payment. $357 a month goes toward principal. You add another mid-month, you pay another $357. Stop taking the tollway, right? And add it to the principal. You'll knock out $1,300 in interest, right? So I'm like, well, how would it affect this guy? So I did that. I figured out what it would be, about $500 extra a month, right? If I brown bag it and don't take the tollway, I saved that much money, all right? He would have got at a debt under 5.5 years earlier, so in 12 years, and if he invested that money at 7% return, all right, compound interest, he'd have in a tax advantage vehicle, so we don't have to pay tax on it, $606,253.44 is how much he would save in interest. Taking that into a tax advantage vehicle, all right, that amount of money, I'm sorry, he would have the savings, putting that toward a 7% rate of return, compound interest, all right, tax advantage for the 18 years, he would have $1,180,397.20, all right, for his retirement. Is that enough? Is that worth it to pay attention and focus on your finances? To commit to what we're going to teach you here today? All right, that's what I'm here to tell you. All right, thank you very much. I hope you got something out of it.